All right, hello and welcome everyone. My name is Marlene Toby. I'm here with my colleagues Annie and Carlos, and we will be your facilitators for tonight's presentation as well as support. Now, today we will be diving in the essential world of profit and loss statements and balance sheets, which are two crucial tools for understanding and managing your business's finances. Now, before we begin, I'd like to note that we will be addressing all questions at the end of the presentation, and this session will be recorded in both English and Spanish to ensure accessibility for all participants. Now, once we have completed our individual breakout sessions, we will come back together in this room to address all your questions as a large group. So we'll break out in English and we'll break out in Spanish, and you will hear the presentation in your preferred language. Now, you can help make this process a little bit more efficient by documenting your questions in the chat. And then when we come back together in the main room, we will go ahead and read all of those questions to make sure that we've addressed everyone. All right, perfect. So before we start, I need to give you this quick disclaimer. The information contained here has been prepared by Civitas Strategies and is not intended to constitute legal, tax, or financial advice. The Civitas Strategies team has used reasonable efforts in collecting, preparing, and providing this information, does not guarantee its accuracy, completeness, adequacy, or currency. The publication and distribution of this information are not intended to create, and receipt does not constitute an attorney-client or any other advisory relationship. Excuse me. Reproduction of this information is expressly prohibited, and only non-commercial uses of this work permitted. All right. So, welcome to Profit and Loss, Profit and Loss Statements and Balance Sheets. Now, as child care providers, understanding these financial documents is crucial for the success and the sustainability of your business. Now, as we move through this presentation, you will learn about the definition and the importance of both profit and loss statements and balance sheets. Now, we will dive into what each document represents and why they are essential tools for managing your childcare business effectively. We'll also guide you through the process of calculating and creating each document. Step by step, we will demonstrate how to gather the necessary information, organize it, and present it in a clear and concise manner. So by the end of the webinar, you will have a solid understanding of how to use these financial statements for your own business. Furthermore, we will discuss which document you will use in different situations. So knowing when to refer to your profit and loss statement or your balance sheet will help you make informed decisions and communicate effectively with stakeholders, such as your lenders, any investors, or even your own staff. Now, we are here to support you in strengthening your financial management skills and empowering you to run a thriving childcare business. So let's go ahead and get started on this journey of mastering your profit and loss statements and your balance sheets. So, as a business owner, there are many valuable financial reports that you can create, but two of the most critical are the profit and loss, also called an income statement or a statement of operation, and your balance sheet. Now, they both serve different complementary functions. So, understanding both can provide a strong sense of how your childcare business is doing financially. Now, the profit and loss or P&L statement shows your revenue, expenses, and it generates a net profit for a specific time period. On the other hand, the balance sheet provides a snapshot of the value of your business by presenting your assets, liabilities, and owner's equity. And we'll talk about all of these in more detail in just a bit. Now, while both of these provide valuable insight into your financial health, they do serve distinct yet complementary functions. The similarities are that both documents are essential for your business and essential for businesses of all sizes, and they offer crucial insights into financial health, informing decision making, and future planning and also helping to identify areas of improvement. The key differences between your profit and loss statement and their balance sheet include four things: your time frame, measurements, the purpose, and some key insights. So, as it relates to time frame, profit and loss statements show financial performance over a specific period of time, while the balance sheet provides a snapshot of a single point in time. As it relates to measurement, the profit and loss statement tracks revenue, expenses, and resulting in a profit or loss, whereas your balance sheet will list your assets, liabilities, and owner equity. For purpose, the P&L statements illustrate operational performance and profitability, while your balance sheet reflects the overall value and financial structure. And then, in reference to key insights, your profit and loss statements reveal how efficient you're generating profit, while balance sheets indicates your ability to meet financial obligations and overall stability. Now, you may ask yourself if you even need to worry about these documents, especially if the business is just you or it's a small entity. However, we found that childcare businesses of all sizes benefit from understanding a profit and loss statement and a balance sheet. Now, these financial statements will let you know how your business is doing and where you may need to make changes so that you can stay in business. They provide valuable insight into your business's profitability, efficiency, and overall financial health, as we mentioned before, enabling you to make those informed decisions and to plan for your future. So let's dig into both of these reports a little bit deeper and learn how they can help you as a business owner or a director. So hopefully by the end of this presentation, you'll have a better understanding of how to create and use these financial statements to improve your childcare business's financial management. Now, in its most basic form, the profit and loss statement shows the profitability of the business for a set period of time. The time period can be for a year, a quarter, a month, or even a day, whatever you need to understand. Now, this flexibility allows you to analyze your business's financial performance over different time frames, helping you to identify any trends, seasonal fluctuations, and areas for improvement. Now, profit is how much you are making from the business. And of course, loss is how much you are losing from your business. Now, to calculate the profit or loss, you can do this by taking all of the revenue, that is how much you took in to the business for a specific time period, and then you just simply subtract your expenses. The result is either going to be positive, where your revenue exceeds your expenses, or it will be a loss where your expenses exceed your revenue. Now, I want to use an example. Luz has a revenue of $55,000 for quarter two. Now, in the same quarter, she had $47,000 in expenses. So, as a result, she has a profit of $8,000 because we're simply going to take the 55 minus 47, and that gives us 8,000. Now, this simple calculation provides Luz with a quick overview of her business's financial performance for the quarter, and it helps her to understand if she's on the right track or if she needs to make some adjustments to increase her profitability. Now, it can be most helpful to not only look at profit and loss for one period, but to have a similar period to compare it to. For example, If you look at the monthly P&L for February, you might also compare it to January to see if you're getting more or less profitable. Now, this comparison allows you to identify trends, of course, those seasonal changes, um, and the impact of any business decisions that you've made between those two periods. Now, in addition, the profit and loss statement can show you more than just profit. Since it's broken up by category of revenue and expenses, you can often get a sense of where changes in expenses or revenue are affecting your business. Now, this detailed breakdown will help you pinpoint specific areas that may be contributing to an increase or maybe a decrease in your profitability. So let's look at a more detailed example from Luz's childcare business. Here is her P&L for quarters 1 and 2. Now, to calculate the percentage change between these two quarters, Luz will use the formula, the new value minus the original value, and divide that by the original value, or take that original value, multiply it by 100. For example, to find the percentage change in profit, she's going to calculate the 8,000 minus her 13,000, which is the new minus the original, and then divided by the 13,000 times 100. Now we get 38%, or really negative 38% when we do that. Now, by comparing the two quarters, Luz can learn some interesting things about her business. Her revenue stayed the same from quarter 1 to quarter 2. However, her expenses went up by 12%, resulting in profit that was 38% lower. So her child care food program reimbursement, or CFCFP, that increased by 66% from 3,000 to 5,000. And her subsidy revenue decreased by 16%, going from 12,000 to 10,000. Now, looking at the expenses, Luz found that her rent and utilities doubled, showing a 100% increase. So she went from 5,000 to 10,000, and she had no explanation as to why. Then once she investigated, she found that a broken pipe was leaking and running up her water costs. So this example demonstrates how a detailed profit and loss statement can help you identify issues and take corrective action to improve your business's financial performance. So by conducting this analysis, Luz was able to pinpoint areas of concern, highlight positive changes that she made or that she might want to capitalize on the future, and take targeted action to improve her business's financial health and optimize her revenue streams. Now, if you're asking what is the balance sheet, where the profit and loss was showing the performance of the business over a period of time, such as the year, the quarter, the month, the balance sheet just focuses on the state of your business on a given date. Now, to providers, this provides a snapshot of your business's financial position, including what it owns, and that will be your assets, and what it owes, and that refers to your liabilities. And then, of course, the owner's investment in the business, which we call owner's equity. Now, the balance sheet has three components: assets, which is cash account receivable, which is the money that's owed to you. There's liabilities, which is your overhead, your debt, your accounts payable, or in other words, the money that you owe others. And then, of course, the owner equity is just the total assets minus the liability. We also refer to this as your net value. Now, the balance sheet lets you know how healthy your business is, since it shows you that picture of revenue, debt, and how much money you are taking in and out of the business. It helps you understand your financial stability, your liquidity, and This is essential for making informed decisions and securing funding if you need it. Now, the balance sheet gets its name from being in balance, specifically because owner's equity equals the total assets minus liability. So this is your net value, as we mentioned before, representing uh, the portion of the business asset that you own outright. All right, so let's look at Luz's balance sheet for last week. Now, in this case, she had a good amount of assets, including cash in her bank account and funds receivable. She owes some money on her credit card and has a business loan. But even with those debts, she would still have $7,000 left over in earnings. And that is the assets of 14,500 minus the liabilities of 7,500. All right. Now this balance sheet provides Luz with a clear picture of her business's financial position. She can see that she has positive net value, indicating that her business is financially stable. However, she may also want to keep an eye on her liabilities and work on reducing her debt over time to improve her business's financial health in the future. All right. So now let's walk through this step-by-step process of creating profit and loss statements and balance sheets. Now, while these documents serve different purposes, many of the initial steps in their creation are very similar. So by following these 8 steps, you'll be able to gather, organize, and present your financial information in a clear and concise manner. And that will empower you to make those data-driven decisions and plan for a thriving future. So step 1, you're going to gather your financial records. Now, the first and most crucial step in creating accurate financial statements is to gather all the relevant financial documents. This process is identical for both documents, and it involves collecting various records that detail your childcare business's income and expenses over a specific period. Excuse me. So you're going to start by compiling your bank statements, which provide a comprehensive record of all transactions going in and out of your business bank account. Now, this includes deposits from tuition payments, fees, and grants, as well as withdrawals for expenses like rent, utilities, and supplies. Next, you're going to collect your credit card statements. Now, these documents will help you to track any business-related expenses paid for using a credit card, such as your online purchases or any recurring subscriptions. Invoices and other essential pieces of the puzzle, or actually your invoices are another essential piece of the puzzle. These documents provide a detailed record of the services that you've provided and the amount charged to each client. So make sure to include all invoices for the period that you're analyzing. And don't forget to gather receipts for any cash purchases made for your business. Now, these may include items like office supplies, cleaning products, or small equipment purchases. Now, if you have employees, payroll records are crucial for accurately tracking your labor expenses. So you're going to want to collect all payroll related documents, including any timesheets, pay stubs, and any applicable tax forms. And then finally, you're going to make sure that you have your tax returns on hand. Now, these documents provide a summary of your business's financial performance over the past year and can be useful for comparing your current financial statements to the previous years. Now, the key difference lies in how you utilize the financial information that you've gathered for each document. Now, for the profit and loss or P&L statement, Your focus will be on income and expenses over a specific period of time. And of course, this could be a month or a quarter or even the entire year, depending on your business's needs and your reporting preferences. Now, in contrast, the balance sheet requires a more comprehensive snapshot of your financial position at a precise moment in time. So you'll need to compile additional information about your assets. Basically, that's what your business owns and your liability, what it owes, and make sure that you're gathering for that specific date. Now, this statement offers uh, a static picture of your financial health at that exact point in time. Now, when you're gathering your financial records, it's very important to be mindful of these different time perspectives. So again, for the profit and loss, you want to ensure that you have all necessary income and expenses covering the entire period that you're analyzing. And then for the balance sheet, you want to be meticulous in collecting that data that accurately reflects your assets and liabilities on the exact date that you've chosen for your report. Now, this attention to detail in recording, gathering, will ensure the accuracy and relevancy of both of those financial statements, providing you with that valuable insight into different aspects on your childcare's business's financial situation. On to step two. Excuse me for a second. All right. So step two is to categorize financial data for P&L and your balance sheets. So once you've gathered all your financial records, we're going to go ahead and categorize each transaction. So for the profit and loss statement, you categorize each transaction as income or expenses. And of course, the balance sheet, you will categorize items as assets, liabilities, or owner equity. Now, this process will help you gain a clear understanding of where your money is coming from and where it's going. So to start, you want to go ahead and start by going through your bank statements, credit card invoices, receipts, and assign each transaction to an appropriate category. For profit and loss statements, you can create subcategories for income, such as tuition, registration fees, late payment fees, grants, and any other sources of revenue. For the balance sheet, your subcategories will be for assets like your cash, equipment accounts, receivable, and then you're going to break down, this will break down, will help you to identify which areas of your business are generating the most income and allow you to track changes over time. Now, similarly, you can create subcategories for your expenses on the P&L statement. Common expense categories for childcare businesses include salaries, rent, utilities, supplies, food, insurance, and professional development. For the balance sheet, excuse me, for the balance sheet, your subcategories will cover, of course, your liabilities, and examples would be like loans and accounts payable. And by breaking down your expenses into these similar categories, you'll be able to see exactly how much you're spending in each area and identify opportunities for cost savings. Excuse me for 1 second. Excuse me. Now, to make the categorization process more efficient and organized for both of your documents, consider using a spreadsheet or accounting software. Excuse me. These tools allow you to easily input your data, assign categories, and automatically calculate totals. Plus, having your financial data in a digital format makes it easier to analyze and share and store it securely. All right, on to step three, which is to calculate your totals for both the P&L statement and the balance sheet. Now, for both your P&L and your balance sheet, the process of calculating totals involves summing up the categorized financial data, but the focus will be different. So when you're preparing a P&L statement, you will calculate the total income by adding all your income subcategories and total expenses by summarizing all expense subcategories, and then determine your net profit or loss by subtracting the total expenses from the total income. And we have the formula there on the screen. And for the balance sheet, you will calculate total assets by adding all your assets subcategories, total liabilities by summing all your liabilities subcategories, excuse me, and then calculate your owner equity by subtracting total liabilities from total assets. And excuse me, had a little cough there. All right, so some key similarities and differences. Both processes involve categorizing and summarizing financial data, but with differentiated goals in mind. Now, while the mathematical process is similar, the key difference lies in what these totals represent. The P&L reflects financial performance over time, while the balance sheet captures the financial position at a specific moment. Now, in both cases, it is critical to double check your calculations for accuracy to ensure that those totals align with what you have in your records. On to step four, which is to determine the net profit and loss and calculate your owner's equity for the balance sheet. So for P&L statements, after calculating your total income and expenses, you're going to want to determine whether your childcare business has made a profit or incurred a loss for the period that you're analyzing. So to do this, you're going to use that formula that we introduced earlier. That is your income minus your expenses equals net profit. Now, a positive result indicates profit, while a negative result shows a loss. And then next, you're going to want to analyze those factors contributing to this outcome, such as your enrollment levels, or your marketing effectiveness, or even unexpected cost. But for the balance sheet, calculating your owner's equity, you can do that by subtracting total liabilities from total assets. And this represents your stake in the business after accounting for all debts and obligations. Now, a higher owner's equity generally indicates a stronger financial position. Excuse me. Now, both calculations provide crucial insights. The P&L will show your operational performance over time, helping you identify trends in revenue and expenses. The balance sheet is going to offer a snapshot of your overall financial health at a specific moment. So be sure to analyze both of these documents together to get a comprehensive view of your business's financial status. You can use these insights to make better informed decisions about improving profitability, managing assets and liability, and planning for future growth. You'll also want to look for opportunities to increase your revenue or even maybe reduce expenses or optimize your asset to liability ratio. But remember, profitable business might still face cash flow issues, just as a business showing a loss might have some valuable assets. All right, and now on to step five, finalizing the profit and loss statement. So now that you've gathered all your financial records for the period, including your bank statements, your invoices, receipts, and you've laid the groundwork for your P&L statement. With these documents in hand, you've then categorized your financial data, sorting income into categories like tuition and grants, and organizing expenses into areas such as salaries and supplies. Okay, so this categorization has allowed you to calculate totals, summing up all income categories to determine your total revenue and adding up your total revenue and finding your total expenses. Now, using these totals, you've been able to determine your net profit or loss by subtracting your total expenses from your total revenue. And this process now brings you to step 5, where you're ready to finalize and review your P&L statements, ensuring it's accurately going to reflect your childcare business's financial performance over the specific period. So to finalize your P&L statement, you're going to want to review all entries for accuracy and completeness. Now, this involves verifying that all income and expenses are included and correctly categorized. You want to be sure to look for any missing or duplicate entries. Uh, you can cross-reference with source documents by comparing entries to bank statements, ensuring that all transactions are accounted for. Now, this can be done by checking credit card statements for uh, business expenses, reviewing invoices and receipts to confirm the amounts and dates, examining payroll records to verify salary and wage expenses, and looking at loan statements to confirm interest payments or outstanding balances. You're also going to want to ensure consistent categorization across statements. Now, you're going to check that items are consistently categorized from one period to the next and verify that categories make sense for your childcare business. You can also confirm that the time period is accurately representative. So to do this, you're going to want to make sure that all entries fall within that specific time period, be it the month, the quarter, or the year, whichever you're looking at, and check for any entries that might belong to a different period. And then you're going to verify all calculations, especially the final figures for net profit and loss. Remember, total income minus those expenses is what you're going to be looking at. And now let's quickly overview the balance sheet process leading up to step 5. So we're going to overview that process. Your first step was to compile comprehensive list of all your childcare business's assets, including cash, accounts receivable, and equipment. You've established the foundation for your balance sheet. So you're going to build on that, then uh, catalog all your liabilities, such as accounts payable and any loans, and provide a clear picture of your financial obligations. With these figures in place, you then calculated your owner's equity by subtracting total liabilities from total assets, representing your business's net worth. You then organize this information, listing assets in order of liquidity and liabilities based on payment due dates, and entered these values into your balance sheet template. Now, after double checking your calculations to ensure that assets equal liability plus owner equity, you've now arrived at step 5 and you're ready to finalize your balance sheet to confirm it's accurately capturing your childcare business's financial position on a specific date of the statement. So to finalize your balance sheet, you will use many of the same steps that we used for the profit and loss statement, but with a few key differences. First, you're going to review all entries for accuracy and completeness. So ensure that all assets and liability are accounted for. Be sure to look for any missing or duplicate entries and verify that the amounts are entered correctly and in the right categories. Again, you will cross-reference with source documents. You're going to compare the entries to bank statements, ensuring that all transactions are accounted for. Ensure consistent categorization across the statements. So you'll use the same categories as for assets and liabilities in the balance sheet as you would for the income and expenses in the profit and loss statement. Uh, Check that these items are consistently categorized from one period to the next, and verify that categories make sense for your childcare business. Then you're going to confirm that the time period is accurately represented. You want to be sure that all figures represent the financial position of your exact date of that statement. And then finally, verify your calculations, especially the final figures for your owner's equity. And remember, we do ensure that the balance sheet equals your assets are going to be assets equal liability plus owner equity. Now, this meticulous review process provides a solid foundation for the in-depth analysis and interpretation that you will conduct in a later step. Okay, so step 6 is to create the visually appealing financial statements. So now that you have organized your financial data and calculated your net profit or loss and owner equity, it's time to present this information in a clear and a visually appealing way. So well-designed financial statements not only make it easier for you to understand your business's financial performance, but it also helps you to communicate this information effectively to others. So start by using the data that you've organized to create a profit and loss statement and a balance sheet. And when creating these statements, you want to employ a clear and easy to read format, such as maybe a table or graph. Now, tables are an excellent way to present numerical data in a structured manner, while graphs can help visualize trends and comparisons. So choose the format that best suits your data and make these information, make it easily digestible. Now, to ensure that your financial statements are easy to understand, you want to include relevant headers, labels, and titles. Headers should clearly identify the type of financial statements, like profit and loss statement or balance sheet, while your labels and titles accurately describe the data that's being presented. For example, revenue, expenses, assets, liabilities. Now, use formatting techniques such as bold text or highlight to emphasize those key figures or trends. And this will draw attention to the most critical information and help the reader to quickly grasp the main points. However, you want to be careful not to overuse these techniques, as too much emphasis can make your financial statements appear cluttered and difficult to read. Now, often accounting software or programs offer templates that can help you create these visually appealing financial statements. All right. So creating visually appealing financial statements is just the first step in understanding your child's business financial performance, your childcare business's financial performance. The next crucial step is to analyze and interpret the data to gain valuable insights and making informed decisions. So begin by comparing your current financial statements to those from previous years, looking for trends, improvements, or areas of concern. For example, you want consistent revenue increases. If you have consistent revenue increases, that might indicate successful marketing efforts, while sudden expense spikes may require an investigation. Now, to gain a deeper insight into your child care business's financial health, you're going to want to calculate these key ratios. You're going to want to calculate your profit margin ratio, and your debt to entry ratio, as well as a few others. So we'll start with profit margin. To calculate this, you're going to divide your net profit by your revenue. For the debt to equity ratio, you're going to divide your total liabilities by your owner's equity. So if your liabilities are maybe 10,000 or 100,000, I'm sorry, and your owner's equity is 150, then your ratio would then be 0.67. Now, after calculating these ratios, you'll want to interpret them to understand your financial position. For the profit margin ratio, higher percentage indicates greater efficiency in generating profit from revenue. And then for the debt to equity ratio, generally a lower ratio suggests less financial risk. So if your ratio is above 2.0, then it may signal that your business is over leveraged. Now, here are a few more ratios that you'll want to calculate. Your current ratio, which you will divide your current assets by your current liabilities, and your enrollment efficiency, where you're going to calculate the total revenue uh, and divide that by the maximum enrollment capacity. Now, to interpret the data, your current ratio, if you have a ratio above 1.0, that's good. It's showing your ability to cover short-term obligations. However, a very high ratio might indicate underutilized assets. For enrollment efficiency, a high figure suggests better utilization of your capital. But if your ratio is low, you might need to review your marketing or your pricing strategies. Now, to make the most of these ratios, you're going to compare them to the industry benchmarks and your historical data. You want to identify any trends for improvements and use these insights to make those informed decisions on pricing, cost control, and growth strategies. And remember, these ratios provide a valuable snapshot of different aspects of your financial health, and reviewing them regularly can help you track progress and make data-driven decisions to improve your childcare's business's performance. Step 8, now that you've analyzed your financial statements and interpreted those ratios, it's time to apply these insights in making informed decisions. So those are going to be strategic planning, operational improvements, financial management, pricing and services, budgeting, and stakeholder communications. Now, financial decision making is going to be an ongoing process. So regularly review your statements and adjust your strategies as needed. So when you consistently apply these financial insights, you'll be better equipped to navigate challenges, seize your opportunities, and build a more thriving childcare business. And then on to step 9, where you're going to want to store and secure your financial records. So just keep in mind that you're going to keep those records organized. Uh, Start by keeping those financial statements easily accessible. Create a filing system that makes sense for your business. For physical copies of your financial documents, you want to ensure that they are stored in a secure location, such as a locked filing cabinet or a safe. This is going to prevent unauthorized individuals from accessing sensitive financial data. And in today's digital age, it's very important to keep those digital copies for your financial records. Now, to further protect your digital financial information, you want to implement appropriate security measures. So use strong, unique passwords for all of your financial account software, and consider enabling two-factor authentication whenever available. And be sure to limit access to that financial data to those individuals who need it to perform their job duties. All right. So now if you're wondering which document should be used, the answer is all of them. Your profit and loss and balance sheet, combined with your budget and cash flow statements, provide a holistic view of your business's health. They work together to give you a comprehensive understanding of your business's financial performance, your position, and cash management. So you can learn more about cash flow in the link that we will drop in the chat for you. And remember, this data is only as good as what you enter into your accounting system. So it's worth ensuring that you have a good record keeping system that you can rely on and trust. We will drop a link in the chat to learn more about how you can set up a record keeping system and just make sure that by regularly reviewing and analyzing your combined financial documents, you will be better equipped to make those informed decisions, plan for the future, and ensure long-term success of your child care business. Now, I believe that is everything. So we are going to go ahead and move back to the main room. Perfect. All right. So let's open up the floor to questions. Do we have anything come through in the chats?
We had a question in the Spanish room. The provider had to leave because she was busy, but just maybe it's useful for other people. She was asking if we're going to share the slides or the recording and where can they find it.
We will be sharing the recording. The recording goes to Spark and you will have access to the recording.
Solo lo repito en español, que va a estar la pregunta era si vamos a tener la grabación o la presentación, y sí lo vamos a compartir el video para que lo puedan repasar a su tiempo.
All right, any other questions? I thought I heard someone come off mute. Oh, Velma has her hand up.
I was wondering if there was a way to obtain the copies of the sheets that you were showing us. I was trying to take notes as we went, but since it's kind of fast, there's some very valuable information on those sheets and it's hard to get everything. Is there a way that we can get the copies of the what you were showing us there? And then also, second question, does this kind of training count for us in training hours? Like, can we get a certificate from you that we've actually gone through this training?
Well, okay, so the first part of your question, we do have links that we can drop in the chat. I'm not sure if it's going to be exactly what you're looking for when you say the what was it that you said? What was the word you used? I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember what you said then.
Just your screens, your informative screens that
Okay.
Of your steps and things like that. Just an overall your screen information that was on there.
Okay. Was there something in particular that you were really interested in, or just the whole thing in general is what you're referring
Just
to?
the whole thing in general, because like I
Okay.
said, I was trying to copy along, but there's so much information on there and I'm not very fast at doing the
Gotcha. All right.
the
So we
courtroom
can
reporting there. So yeah, I was trying to keep up with it, but
certainly. So we can certainly check in to see what we can and cannot share for you. And then we will communicate that with Chrysair. In reference to the second question regarding the training hours, we would have to get back with you on that.
And just if
okay,
it's
thank you very
useful,
much.
the recording will be shared. So you could stop it and see the slides there in case you need any specific content from there. Y solo para traducir la pregunta en español para todos, bueno, como les repetimos, va a estar la presentación compartida para que puedan ir a un punto específico. También preguntaban si esto va a contar como horas para una certificación, y eso sí quedamos de confirmarles para ver si estos entrenamientos cuentan como parte de horas certificadas. I think we can continue.
Mhm.
Nothing in the chat.
All right. So if you guys would like to have more information or need assistance, you can sign up for coaching services, and you can use the link that you see on the screen. There is a wealth of information there, lots of tools. All the resources are available in both languages. And I will advance this so that Carlos can share that information for the rest of our participants.
Como decía mi compañera en inglés, este link que ven en pantalla puede usarlo para obtener más información. Los recursos están disponibles en inglés y en español y va a encontrar muchas herramientas relacionadas con este tema y con muchos otros temas.
Right. And then if you actually had questions that we weren't able to address tonight, please know that you can go to the Tom Copeland blog. You can scan that QR code. There are over 1,500 helpful resources on that site. And if you're not able to find the answers that you're looking for there, you can always go to Ask the Experts on the blog and ask any questions that you still may have.
Para traducirlo al español, por si tiene aún preguntas que no pudimos responder hoy, le recomendamos ver nuestro blog de Tom Copeland. Ahí hay muchas preguntas que ya han sido respondidas a otros proveedores. Puede ser que encuentre la respuesta que esté buscando. Y en el caso que no la logre encontrar, puede irse a nuestra sección de preguntarle al experto y dejar su pregunta ahí. Nosotros vamos a abordar su pregunta y darle la mejor respuesta posible.
All right, and also be sure to visit the YouTube channel for additional resources and support for your business.
Y solo para terminar, recuerde vernos en YouTube. Hay más de 600 videos de diferentes temas y puede serle útil para el manejo de su negocio.